So here it is, Final Fantasy 15, after 10 years in the making. But was it worth the wait? Well, let's find out. Well, I'll start by saying that this is definitely a game of two halves. The first half is open world, you're free to roam, side quest and explore, whereas the second half is linear and story based, but we'll begin with the first half. It starts with a short intro sequence, about 3 minutes long, which is very short in Final Fantasy terms. The intro doesn't give much away, and the whole plot leans quite heavily on supporting media, a short anime series and a CG film. Now, the anime series is free to watch, I'll pop a link to that in the notes. The film you have to buy, so I skipped that entirely. Anyway, in the game, our heroes of the tale are left pushing their car down the road because it ran out of gas. Well, yeah, it could happen to even the best of us. It's actually a great introduction to Noctis and his mates as they bicker amongst themselves, and is a good example of what the game does right, as the beauty isn't in the overarching plot, but in the relationship between the four friends, their camaraderie and sense of adventure. Now, I will admit that for the first hour of the game I was seriously questioning just what I'd spent my 40 quid on, as I'm forced to push a car up the road for the reward of being sent off on some rather menial task. But it's definitely worth sticking with it because the game does pick up quite quickly. Now, the architectural style is quite retro, and I did wonder for a moment on reaching the first outpost if I'd managed to put the Fallout 4 disc in by mistake. But be assured this is in fact Final Fantasy 15 and I'm not reviewing the wrong game. Phew. Early on, Noctis' country is occupied and his father killed. As Crown Prince, he journeys to discover his ancestors' tombs to collect mythical weapons to enhance his power. Oh, and to save his beloved fiancée. And to get revenge on the Empire for stealing the crystal and killing his father. Oh, and to get his father's ring back. And now, wait just a minute here. Just what is the main goal here again? Oh, well, maybe the Astrals know, because I'm pretty convinced the director didn't. But when all is said and done, the storyline is just enough to hold the game together, and it's the personalities of Noctis and his pals that really makes the game shine. With them, even the boring side quests take on an element of fun and adventure, and Prompto will soon drag you kicking and screaming to the nearest Chocobo Ranch. Then you can adventure in real style on the back of multicoloured Chocobos. As with most open world games, there's a main quest line, which will always have an objective for you to follow, backed up with side quests. These usually fall into the go here, collect this, or kill that category. But you'll soon find that the fun is in the journey, not the objective. Square Enix have created a vast and beautiful world to explore, and given you many ways to do it.
Check it out!
Once you've completed the game, you can even develop a flying car. See how classy is that? It's an excellent way to explore the terrain, but it does come with a few snags. You can only take off and land on roads, and if you crash, it is game over. And I mean game over. Landing also takes some skill, but I'm a real expert, so obviously my landing's perfect. See, not even a scratch on the paintwork. Hey, you were supposed to edit that bit out! Honestly, you just can't get the staff these days. Now, the combat is real time, and also a fairly simple affair. You can only control Noctis. Holding one button will have him chain attacks, holding another will allow you to block just about anything, and then you have his specialty, the Warp Strike. This is a good one, as it allows Noctis to warp from place to place on the battlefield near enough instantly, and wow is it fun. However, don't get too carried away, because it's powered by his MP Gorge. Once that hits zero, Noctis will be left in a weakened state, unable to warp or block attacks until you visit a warp point to recharge. Noctis and his pals can get new abilities and enhance their stats using the Ascension board, which allows you to trade AP gained in combat and for undertaking activities such as camping or travelling. Now, travelling is treacherous at night, as that's when demons come out, so certainly in the first half of the game you'll be better off camping at night or stopping in a hotel or caravan. These are dotted around the map and one will never be too far away. This is also when any experience points you've collected during the day are applied, as your characters don't level up in the field, only when they rest. Now, I quite like this, as it forces you into a daily routine, and the game feels more grounded for it with a normal work by day, sleep by night structure. Now, each of the four also have hobbies. My favourite is Noctis, who fishes, which gives you a great little minigame. You can collect better equipment by completing special fishing quests and discovering new fishing spots and shops. Now, I will admit to have gotten quite addicted to this little minigame and ended up on some serious vendetta quests when a big fish has broken the line and escaped. But I get them all in the end. It's no use running, little fishy. Also, Ignis cooks, and will use any ingredients you gather to make meals, including any fish you catch. It's a big fish pie for dinner tonight, fellas. Prompto takes photographs, which you can shift through each time your team bed down for the night in a tent, caravan or hostel. You have 150 slots, and it's actually quite good fun to build up a photo album of all your adventures. Now, Final Fantasy games are traditionally known to have deep, absorbing plot lines, but if that's what you're after, then you might be disappointed here. The issue seems to be that the game has a pint-sized storyline, which has been squeezed into a half-pint glass. This has inevitably led to mess and spillage. This is most noticeable in the second half. The open world elements vanish, and you find yourself on a linear storyline that veers along, not quite seeming confident in its direction or focus. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything by going into the particulars, but the game does at least have a satisfying ending. For all it gets wrong, it's redeemed by the ability to hop in a car and zip around the open landscape while listening to classic Final Fantasy soundtracks on the radio, while battling monsters and making pit stops as you go. I haven't enjoyed a Final Fantasy game this much since Final Fantasy X days. It may not be your conventional Final Fantasy by any means, and yes, it could have been much better with a more coherent storyline, but you know, it's still something special, and I very much enjoyed my time playing it. Plus, did I mention there's chocobos?